All right, so good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everyone from wherever time zone you are joining this event. My name is Arpit, and today, on behalf of Festive Tech Calendar 2024, I would like to welcome everyone for joining this event. First of all, I would like to thank all the organizers, whoever organizing this whole event. So this session is not only for today. You can check their website, and there are plenty of other sessions are running at the parallel, and it's going to be for the whole months. So during the whole December, on the daily basis, there are a lot of sessions are running on their website. So you can find more information about all the sessions information from the Festive Tech Calendar. And they have taken the initiative for raising the money for the Beatson Cancer Charity as well. So if you are willing to raise some amount for this awesome charity, then you can go to this page, or you can find that information on the Festive Tech Calendar website as well. Okay, so as you know, today I'm going to discuss about some important tips for the Power Pages developers. But quickly, before starting the session, I just wanted to give a quick introduction about me. My name is Arpish Srivastav, and I am the four times Microsoft MBA awarded and four times Microsoft certified trainer. And I'm working currently as a Power Platform architect and a specialist in Capgemini, Sweden. And I'm also coordinating the Power Community user group as well. So you often may see participating and speaking in a lot of events worldwide. Um, you can connect me through my social media channel. You can find me on the social media by name Arpit Power Guide, and I've been contributing to the community since 2019 and putting a lot of interesting stuff through the blogging, through speaking, a lot of interesting content. I've been giving training all over the world, and recently I have published my book as well on the Power Apps. So if you want to purchase that book from the Amazon, you can go and check that out. It's a book where you will get everything related to the Power Apps from beginner to the advanced level. So it covers everything related to the Power Pages in 15 chapters, along with the case study as well. So yeah, so if you want to buy it from Amazon, you can get it from there. Or if you want to learn it online, then you can directly go and check the Orally website and search the book title Learning Microsoft Power Apps. All right. So that's about me. And if we talk about the today's agenda, I'm going to discuss about some useful tips for the developers. I know I have given a lot of sessions, a lot of trainings on the Power Pages. Some of the topics related to the low code, no code development, some of the topics related to the advanced development. But today's topic, I'm going to discuss about all the useful tips for the Power Pages developer. So uh, I'm expecting that you have some basic knowledge or the understanding of the Power Pages, because that is not for the beginners. I'm going to discuss all the information from the developer perspective. All right. So here the first thing is that I'm going to discuss like why the Power Pages customization is needed, or why the customization is needed in any application. And then I'm going to discuss about because there are different areas in the Power Pages where you can do the customization. Um, mm, some authentications mechanisms are there, so how you can change the authentication based your customer need. And what are the integrations options are there, because that is quite a common requirement, that how you integrate your Power Pages site with some external systems. And then how you can extend the branding of the Power Pages site, change the look and feel of it. That is quite a common requirement. And then I'll talk about some more details about what are the different options to write the code, or what are the components that we have that we can use to customize or extend the Power Pages website pages. All right. And then if you are the developer, then of course when you are writing a code or you are doing some kind of troubleshooting, then it's very important to understand like what are the different troubleshooting options or diagnostic options are there, where you can monitor the error and quickly find out the issues in your Power Pages site. Okay. And then of course if you have any questions, you can simply ask me in the chat. I have turned off the mic for everyone for now, but if required, I will turn it off as well, because I don't want to have any kind of any background noise accidentally. All right. So this is all about the agenda of today. And if I talk about why the Power Pages customization is needed, or in any of the Power Platform application, why the customization is needed. So as you know, like Microsoft has provided a lot of uh, application or the products in the market where they have provided some inbuilt features into that. So if I talk about in the context of Power Pages, you have got a lot of default features, lot of AI capabilities, lot of low code, no code features. But sometimes, not the sometimes, I would say it always required that in order to fit the customer need, you have to customize the application. Okay. So if you compare, like if you go to the market and purchase a smartphone for yourself, you often see, like once you get, so for example, if I take the example of Apple, right? So if you go to the market and purchase an iPhone, so Apple is the manufacturer for that, right? So you will get some core features or the functionality in that mobile app or the mobile device, right? But still, once you purchase that, you change that, you install your own application, you uninstall some default applications, you change the look and feel, you change the wallpaper, and a lot of things you do as per your own need and based on your own requirements in that mobile application or the mobile device, right? In the similar way, any Microsoft application or the product that Microsoft provides, it comes with some default features, the core feature that always remain the same, but they provide you the extensibilities options, scalability options as well, so that you can customize those options. But being a developer, we need to understand like what are the best practices and what are the recommendations from the Microsoft, because we have to always customize our application within that product guidelines or within that best practices, so that you don't mess up with the application or the system, because otherwise you will end up facing a lot of issues in your application, right? So this is why the customization is needed in any application. And being a developer, you always have to understand this, that you have to do the customization always in a certain limit. All right. So first of all, let's start with the authentication process, okay? Because that is something where the portal application start. So I'm not going to dive deep into what is authentication looks like, what are the different options are there. I'm assuming like you have this basic knowledge of this, like how the authentication of the Power Pages works. But still, when I will demonstrate everything, I will show you like what are the different authentication or the identity provider that Microsoft provides. Okay. So authentication, well, like it is the process where you need to check the identity of someone who is logged into your application, right? And Microsoft Power Pages provides a lot of ways to authenticate your application. It provides Microsoft Entra ID, also called Azure Active Directory. It also provides Microsoft Azure AD B2C directory. Some external authentication is also there, like Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, and then we have the local authentication as well. So local authentication is not recommended to use for the production uses. So Microsoft recommendation is, you have to use the Azure AD B2C as a default login provider. So since the users of the Azure AD B2C has now been exponentially increased when the Microsoft announced the deprecation of the local authentication mechanism. So I have seen a lot of questions on the community and on the social media post regarding customizing the Azure AD B2C application, how you can automate your authentication process. because in the local authentication you can automate, you have got the inbuilt invitation process, right? Inbuilt invitation feature that you can use to automate your invitation process. But in the Azure AD B2C, it's a different application in the Azure Active Directory, and Power Pages is a different application. So if you integrate both in order to provide the authentication mechanism, then what are the different ways to extend the Azure AD B2C authentication? So one of the most common requirement related to the Azure AD B2C authentication is, how you can automate your Azure AD B2C portal invite. Okay. Sometimes you send those invitation manually, and sometimes you have to automate this process, because in most of the cases, your contacts, your customer is already there in the Dataverse. So it's not always required that you allow a customer to directly go to the Power Pages site and then register from the portal. Okay, because if they will register, then the contact will already be exist. So either it will give you the duplicate email address issue, or it will create the duplicate contact if they use some different email address. So that's not a good idea. So the invitation is basically a process that basically invite you the existing customer that is already there in your Dataverse, right? So how you can do that in the B2C? Okay, so I will demonstrate that as well. Second is the customization of B2C default page layout. So as you know, like if you ever use Azure AD B2C, like, it has got some default page layouts for the login pages, sign up pages, password reset pages. So this is quite a common requirement where every customer wants, like they want to change the UI, the look and feel, the branding of all the pages and match with their organization branding, right? So how you can do that? So I'm also going to discuss about that. Right, custom validation. So it might be possible, like when you are customizing the default page layout, you might need to add some additional validations or the logic in order to extend that capability. So how you can write your own JavaScript or call an APIs and everything. API connectors. This is basically, sometimes you need to have some additional business logic while doing the authentication or while using the Azure AD B2C pages. So what is the role of API connectors? That we will also look into it. Language translation, that is also a common requirement. So if you are working on a multilingual portal, because portal language is quite different from the Azure AD B2C language. And as of now there is no integration of the languages of Azure AD B2C to the Power Pages. So being a developer, you need to know about it, like what are the different ways to enable the languages in the Azure AD B2C, so that your portal user can get the seamless experience. Because whatever language they have enabled in the Power Pages site, they have to do the same thing on the Azure AD B2C. So how you can automate that thing? And then we have the custom policies. So of course, considering the time, I'll not be able to demonstrate you each and every scenario, because it's each and everything will take a lot of time. But at least I will give you one idea about it, like how you can utilize these of the features, and then you can try by yourself. All right. So these are the six different extensibility options that you can try to extend the authentication of the Power Pages. All right. So I'll just quickly switch over to the Azure AD B2C page. So this is my Azure AD B2C tenant, where I have set up all the things already. So I'm not going to discuss about how to integrate your Azure AD B2C with the Power Pages. So I can only show you, like if I go to the Power Pages. So in order to go to the Power Pages, first of all, you need to go to the Power Apps Maker portal, then select your appropriate environment, and then click on the website. If you don't have the website option in the left panel, click on the more and then pin the website option. Then it will automatically appear in the left panel. So once you do that, you can see, like I already have two websites available. If you don't have it, you can just hit the create a website now option and can start creating it. So once you create a website, you have two options. Either you can create using Copilot or AI option, or you can create a manually as well. Okay. So I already have this website. I'll go and click on edit. So once I click edit, it takes me to the design studio page where I can where I can design this whole website. Okay. This is the new way of designing your Power Pages website, though it doesn't have all the features that we have in the Management Studio app. But still, you being a developer, you should always start with this studio, design studio to start developing your site, because here you will get all the the latest features and all the Copilot AI related features as well. All right. So I was talking about the identity provider option. So if I go to the security and go to the identity provider section, you will find all the identity provider or the authentication options by default. For example, local sign-in, Entra ID, and Microsoft Entra ID. This is the new feature that recently Microsoft has introduced. It is a kind of Azure AD B2B, business to business authentication. But I'm going to discuss about the B2C that Microsoft recommend to enable it by default option in your portal. You should avoid using local sign-in because it has been deprecated. You can use it in your test or dev environment, and of course for showcase some sort of POCs or for demo to your client, because sometimes you don't have the Azure AD environment, or you don't have the credits available in your Active Directory to create the Azure AD B2C tenant, but still you have to demo or give some kind of POC to the customer. So in that case, you can use the local sign-in. At least you can log in or sign in on the portal. Okay. So if I talk about the Azure AD B2C, here you get a lot of settings like authority, client ID, redirect URI. So these all the things, all the settings or the configuration, you get it from the Azure AD B2C directory. Okay, it's always a good practice that each environment. So this is the developer environment I'm using for the demonstration. So I can use the same Active Directory tenant. I mean, same B2C tenant for multiple environments. But in the real-time projects, when you have the different environments like for example, dev, UAT, and the production, it's always recommended to have their own Active Directory B2C tenant. Okay, so that you have the seamless experience of testing, development, and the live user authentication. Okay, because the challenge is that if you use the same B2C directory across multiple environment, your user is going to store in the same directory, right? So in that case, the if someone in the dev environment is trying to log in or the sign up with the email ID, for example, arpit@gmail.com, and if the same user try to log in or sign up on the UAT environment, they will get the duplicate error. You will get the error like your user is already there in the directory, right? Because in the backend, the directory is same, but your environment is different. So these kind of scenario happens. So it's always a good practice that you have the different B2C directory or tenant for each environment. All right. All right. So these authority and everything, how we get it. So for example, if you have to set up the Azure AD B2C, first of all, you need to have the Azure AD B2C tenant, and then you need to go to the user flow, click on new user flow, and then you have plenty of options available here that what kind of user flow you want to use. So user flow is nothing. It just a the authentication screen like login, profile page, sign up screen, forget password screen. So these all the pages, authentication related pages, we call it as a user flow. Okay, and you can have uh, as many as you want. You can create the user flows, sign up, sign in, sign up again, and sign in. So it's up to you. Okay, I already have created some of the user flow here. So once you create the user flow, there are a couple of settings you have to do, and you have to keep it in order to use it in your Power Pages site. So for example, like I have created this user flow, and that is a sign in user flow. Okay, because then you may have this question like, how do you decide like which user flow I have to create? Like sign up, sign in, sign up, sign in. How do you decide? So it basically depends on your customer requirement. So for example, if you want to create a authentication screen or the user flow where you want to provide the sign up and sign in option both. Okay, because in most of the cases you want your customer will land it on your authentication page and they will first register on the website and then they start using login option, right? So in that case, you have to use sign up and sign in. But sometimes you don't want to provide the sign up option on the portal. Okay, because I have seen there are many business use cases where customer don't want anyone to register on the website, because if you enable the sign up option, then anyone can come to your website and they will register. You can't control over it, you can't restrict them, right? So in that case, there are many unknowing contacts will get created in your application. So in that case, sometimes if you want to block the sign up, you only want to allow user that you are inviting for the portal. So in that case, you are enabling only sign in option. So if you enable only sign in option, then sign up option will not be there. Okay. So for the demonstration purpose, I have only enabled the sign in option. Here, there will be no sign up option. So for example, like once I enable that, then you have to set few things. For example, go to the properties and then always remember under the issuer or claim settings, you always need to select this the second option where your TFP protocol is there. Okay, otherwise it will not work. By default, when you create a user flow, this the first URL will by default be selected here. So you need to go to the property section and then you need to select this TFP URL. So that is the only setting you need to change here. And the other settings you have other plenty of settings are available, but it depends like what your customer wants. Like you can set the password complexity, you can enable the captcha, and then single sign-on related. A lot of capabilities are there. You have the conditional access policies as well. So, and you have multi-factor authentication. So I'm not going to dive deep into that. I just wanted to set up a simple a page here. So once you enable that setting, click on the run user flow. And if you hit the run user flow from here, you can directly see like how the UI will look like. And you can see like this is not something the default page that I'm showing to you. I have already customized that. So I'm going to show that as well, that how you can customize the UI, the look and feel of the Azure AD B2C pages. All right. So first of all, you can see like there is no sign up option here. So no customer can directly come to your website and do the registration. So that is the first thing. And you can always invite user by the invitation process. Now you may have this question like, if I'm not providing the sign up option, then how the customer will log in into my application? How they will create their account in the Active Directory or sorry, in the B2C directory, or how they will create the contact. So that was I was talking about. You need to sometimes automate that process, right? Imagine you already have the contact in your database and you need to create the account of that contact in your B2C directory automatically. Okay. And then you have to send an email to the customer that we have invited you to our customer portal. Please log in using this email address and this temporary password, and make sure that you change the password after the first login, right? So you always see this kind of process happen in a lot of other websites as well. So basically, this is the whole process when you disable the sign up option here. Okay. So this is how you can do that. And once you do that, there is a URL gets generated here. Click here and you just need to copy this URL, the issuer URL, because this URL you need to set under the authority section here. So you see like I have copy this URL and then paste it in the authority. And what is this client ID? As I said, like once you create the B2C tenant for the specific environment, you need to register an app, okay? Because this app basically play as an intermediator between your Power Pages site and your Azure Active Directory, because you need to do the authentication as well, right? So I need to you need to register an application, and once you register an application, so imagine I have this application, then you need to go to the overview page and need to capture this client ID from here. Copy that client ID and paste it over here. So this is the client ID, you will get it. And it is always recommended, as I said, like the B2C tenant for will be different for the different environment. So your application ID will also be different for the different environment. Okay, but it's not restricted. You can always use the single tenant as well for the multiple environment, but it's always comes with some sort of limitation as well. As I said, like the same email address user will not be registered. And then redirect URI. So this redirect URI should be the URL of your portal. And then you need to provide this sign in hyphen AAD hyphen B2C hyphen 1. So this will be static in all the cases. But always remember here you have to replace this with your Power Pages side. And where we have to configure this in the B2C directory. So click on the authentication section. And here in the redirect URI section, just click add URI and you have to provide your URL here. All right. And if you have the question like if I'm using the same B2C tenant for multiple environments like dev, UAT or SIT, then how the redirect URL will work. So then in that case, you have to add multiple URL for each Power Pages site configured for the different environment. So in that case, it will work. If you are not adding that specific Power Pages site URL, it will not understand. It will so Azure AD B2C will not understand that the request is coming from the authorized source, so it will decline your application, so it will not work. Okay, so then these three settings are done. Then we have the default policy ID. So default policy ID is nothing. This is the name of the user flow that you are using for which you have captured the authority, right? So the user flow that I was demonstrating to you was this one, the login one. So click here, copy this particular name, and this is the name you have to capture here. So this is the default policy ID and the password reset policy. So for that, you have to create a new user flow like this. Click on user flow, new user flow, and password reset will always remain same because there will be no condition or something like that, same like the sign up and the sign in. So that will always remain the same. So if you want allow user to reset their password, forget password, these kind of features, then you have to create one user flow for password reset as well. And then you have to provide the name of that. Okay. So I have already created one for the password reset. So copy this and then paste it over here. Okay. And what is this valid issuer? So valid issuer is nothing. It basically whatever authority, whatever user flows you are using, you just need to put the issuer URL in the comma separated form. Okay. So here you see like I have used two user flow. One is the login one and the second is the password reset one. Okay. So capture the authority URL of both the one. For example, like for one I have already demonstrated. For login, go to there, run user flow, click here and capture this issuer URL. You can keep it on the notepad and then again go to the password reset, click on the run user flow, hit the URL and then capture for the password reset. Okay. So these two user issuer URL you have to capture and then put it in the comma separated form. So here you can see this is my for the the login one, I put the comma and then I have provided the password reset one. Okay. So this is the settings you have to do it here. And the rest of the setting is like, when you are enabling the sign up or the registration option on the B2C page, you will always want to map your, B2C field data to the Dataverse field because the sign up page that you see on the B2C has a different field, right? And that basically fields comes from here. So imagine I have enabled the sign up flow. So if I have to enable the sign up flow, I need to capture the customer or the user details, right? Like first name, last name, email address, contact numbers and everything. So that comes from the user attribute. So here I can enable all those options that I want to appear on the sign up page. And if you don't find any option or the column that your customer is looking for, then you can always go and create the custom attribute as well. Okay. So I have enabled these four options, so that should appear on the sign up page. So imagine if customer put the job title or the name or the email address, how I will map this information to the Dataverse contact information, because you know, like any user registering on the Power Pages site will create a contact, right, in the Dataverse. So we have to map these fields. So in order to do this mapping, you have to do this kind of thing. So this is basically the name of your Dataverse field, job title, logical name, and this is the name of your B2C field name. Okay. And how you will get the name of the B2C field name, because this is just a display name, right? How you will get the name of it. So you just click on run user flow, go here. And if you go down here, you will see the claim supported. Okay. From here, you need to capture this. So you need to use this particular name, not the display name. So you can see like I have used this name here. And the similar we have to use for the login as well. Okay. First name, last name, and the family name. And there are few settings as well, contact mapping with email. So it's very important setting. For example, if you are doing the registration, then your contact, your email address, whatever you are putting on the registration page should be mapped to the email. Okay. So that if email is already there in the Dataverse, it will throw and duplicate an email address error. Okay. This registration enable setting is for the Power Pages site, whether you want to allow the user to register on the portal or not. Okay. This is not something which is related to the Azure AD B2C. Okay. So this basically block the user from doing registration on the Power Pages site. So you have to enable this option in order to allow user to register through the Azure AD B2C site. So these are all the options that you can do from your Power Page, from your Azure AD B2C. Now, my main objective is to showcase what are the capabilities that you got in the B2C. So this is the default process looks like, how you can do the Azure AD B2C setup and everything. But what are the customization options are there? For example, like I have shown you like this is the page that I have customized that. Okay. I have changed the look and feel, UI and everything. How you can do that? So, okay, so I think that is the second option. The first thing I have to show you how you can automate the Azure AD B2C invite. Okay. So in order to invite the Azure AD B2C, imagine I have this scenario where you don't enable the sign up option. Okay. So in that case, how you can automatically invite your customer with the temporary password, because email address you already know, because you already have the contact available in the database. So you don't need to worry about it, but you don't know the password, right? So you need to create a temporary password, and then you have to send the email to the customer that this is your email and this is your password. And once the user log in with the temporary username and the password and hit sign in, we will have to redirect them to a screen where they can change the password, right? And you have seen that in many of the website where you log in with your login in the application with the temporary password, and straight after the login, you are forced to change that password. So how you can do the similar experience or automate this whole process in the Azure AD B2C? Okay. So for that, I already have one Power Automate. So I'll quickly show you that. So go to the solution. I have created one solution here, and there is one Power Automate I have created. And this basically Power automate the user creation. So, okay. So the name of Power Automate is Automate the Azure AD B2C invitation. Click edit. So meanwhile, what I'll do, I'll just open the contacts as well. So, okay. So let me create a new contact here. So imagine I already have the contact available in the Dataverse, and I'll just put the email address 1, 2, 3 like this. Okay. So I'm just creating a contact. Okay, so now you can see this is the scenario, like you already have the contact available in the Dataverse. Now your organization wants to invite this contact to access the portal. Okay, and you are not using the local authentication, so authentication information will obviously not store in the dataverse. So how you can automate this invitation process? Okay, so there are a couple of options. First of all, let's concentrate on this Power Automate, and it's up to you, like whether you want to trigger this Power Automate on a particular checkbox. So for example, in my case, I have provided a toggle option here and allow portal access. So if I turn it to on, then I trigger this Power Automate. But it's up to you. You can trigger this Power Automate on create of the contact, and you can have some sort of the verification process or the approval process in between. For example, like once you turn this flag to on, you want to first send the approval. You want to initiate some sort of approval. Once the approval is done, and then only you want to send this invite to the customer. So there could be plenty of use cases related to that, but the Power Automate business logic will remain the same. Okay. So what exactly you have to do? So this is the trigger point when the new allow portal access value set to true. And these are a couple of variables I have created. But the main thing here is that you need to first get the access token. So the main thing here is we have to use the Graph API. Okay, because we already have the contact in the database. Now what we are going to do it, we have to do two things. The first thing, we have to create the Azure AD B2C user, or you have to create a user in the Azure AD B2C directory. And the second, once you create that user, then you have to send the details like username and the password to that particular contact email address, right? So once you enable that, you already capture the email address and everything. And in order to call the Graph API, you first need to have the token, right? So Graph API is also similar like the Dataverse Web API. So in order to authenticate that API, in order to perform any transaction in the B2C, you need to have the token. So in order to get the token, you see like I already have the client ID, I already have the secret key, and then a scope. I have provided the Graph API URL. So this information will always remain the same. But in your case, the three information will get changed. The first thing is the client ID. The second is your secret key. And the third thing is your tenant ID. Okay. So since this is the demonstration purpose, so it's not a good practice that you always keep this all the confidential information in your Power Automate flow. So you always keep it in the environment variable so that someone cannot see that in the Power Automate. But this is for the demo purpose, so it's okay. So this is the URL you have to call. Tenant ID, you have to capture it from here. So if I go here, Azure AD B2C, and then go to the app registration, and yeah, app registration. And then, for example, if I click here, graph, okay, so if I take this as an example, so here you can see like tenant ID I have captured from here, client ID I have captured from here, and secret key you can create from here. So new secret key you can create, and these three information you have to capture, and then you have to, save that information. Okay, so once you take the token, you need to use the parse JSON. So because of course you need to capture the token as well. Okay, so that token you are going to use in the main request, that is create Azure AD B2C user. Because while creating the Azure AD B2C user, you have to provide this information. So that is basically the input parameters that you have to provide in order to create a user. But for the authentication purpose, you have to provide that access token that you got it from here. Okay. And one more thing that I have done it here is I have created the random password, because I'm going to create a user with some temporary password so that I can send it to the customer. So the URL that I'm going to use, the graph URL is user. And then this is the header information. And then in the body, the major thing that you have to keep in mind is this setting: force change password, next sign in. If you don't turn on this setting while creating the user, it will not ask user to change the password. Okay, but what we wanted, we want, like, once the user log in with their temporary username or the temporary password, we always want to forcefully change the password. Okay, so this is the way. So all the settings will remain same. You can change as per your need, like, the user principal name, the email address you captured from the database, and everything. But this is the thing. This is the setting that plays a major role here. Force change password, next sign into true. Okay. So this will create an user in the B2C directory, and here I'm just simply sending an email by the portal link, and then the username and the temporary password that I have created. So once the user will log in with the temporary username and password, they will be able to, they will simply redirect to the page where they need to change the password. All right. So this is the first thing that you can do, the automation of the Azure AD B2C. The second, customize the B2C default page layout. So how you can do that? So in order to do that, for example, like if I go to the B2C page, so this is the user flow. And if I open the user flow, so I'm using this login one, right? So if I open this flow and go to the page layout section, and here you see there is an HTML page URL is provided. Okay, and by default this setting is no. So if I just keep it myself like no, so by default this setting is no. If you have not used any custom HTML URL, then this setting is no, and this setting, this URL will be set like this, right? So this will simply show the default login page for the sign up or the login or the password reset, whatever user flow you are using. So how you can change that? How you can change the layout of that page? Okay. So what you can do it, basically, you need to first create an HTML page, and then you need to provide the URL here by turning this setting to yes. Now, in order to create this HTML page, what you have to do, you need to go to the storage account. So uh, for this, you need to have the blob storage in your B2C in your Active Directory tenant. So these are two different things. This is Azure AD B2C tenant, and this is Active Directory or the Microsoft Entra ID tenant. Both are completely different. Okay. So I'll just switch over here. This is the storage account that I have created. So if I open it and go to the storage browser, then here you see there is a blob container option. And here in the blob container, if you can, okay, so I have created a container called B2C container. So under the blob storage, you have to create the container for the different purpose. Okay. So I have created the container to, store all the B2C related file. So here you can see I have created a B2C container, and you can create multiple folders here to keep the fonts, to keep the images, if you have the white images, if you have to keep the backgrounds, if you are referring any jQuery or external CSS or external jQuery, you can also keep it here like this. And then these are the pages you have to use. Okay. So for example, I have to customize the Azure AD B2C sign up and sign in page. So just go here, self-asserted page. So first of all, let me show you like how you can get this page. So if you can go here, customize your ADB2C login page, and then here. So in this article, if you see probably, yeah. So here you can see like Microsoft has already provided you the default template that they are using if you are not using the custom pages, right? So for unified sign up and sign in, they have provided this template. You can simply download on your local machine, and then you can start making changes in that. and for the sign in, and then you have self-asserted multi-factor authentication. For each and everything, you have got the template. It will take you to the GitHub page. And if you don't want to get it from here, I think they have provided the GitHub link as well down somewhere. There we go. Here we go. So here is the link. So if you are pro in the VS Code and everything, you can simply open the VS Code and just simply hit this URL, git clone. This will simply download all the HTML templates, the default HTML template that is basically being used to design the login, sign up, password reset pages for everything. Okay. This self-asserted page is basically used to, change the login and the sign up page, both. Okay, so if you can just open it and download that, because this is the my version of HTML. I can provide that in my the GitHub link as well. Okay, so this is the customized one. So what exactly I have done in that HTML, basically, I have used all the images. So images, you can see I have put it all the images in this folder. And if I have to, refer this particular image in my HTML page, how you can get the URL? For example, I click here and copy the URL. So this URL, you have to use it in your HTML page wherever the link is being given. Okay. So in my HTML page, there might be some sensitive information, so I can't open it right now. But once you download that HTML page on your VS Code or in your Visual Studio Code, it's a quite straightforward HTML. Okay, I'm not going to describe like how to change the HTML and everything. You will get the CSS and everything. Now in that HTML page, you can, have your own images and you can write your own CSS as well. And if you want me to ask like how I would know like the CSS will work, then you can simply, for example, if I open this page, so how you can adjust that? So you can simply do the inspect here. So for example, like um, you want to set the alignment of it, like set margin left, margin right. You can simply set the navigation from here. So here you can see like I have put a lot of things here, like height, line height, paddings, background images, and everything. So you can simply set or check the preview of all the changes you are doing in the CSS, simply capturing it from here, and simply find this the CSS style in your HTML page and then update accordingly. Okay, so I have done the similar way in my HTML page. Okay, the major thing here is that the default feature that I was talking about earlier, like the sign in control, the password, the sign in button. Okay, so this you can't change it. Okay, you can only change the look and feel of it, but whatever the logic or whatever the server side code is written in the background, that you can't change it. That's why I said like it's just a page layout you can change. Okay, so that is the thing. So this is the way how you can do that. So once you change everything in the storage account, for example, this is the HTML page I have that I have changed. You just need to copy the URL from here, go back to your user flow, and then turn this setting to yes, and then paste your URL here. You can see like I have used a unified HTML. No worries, you can change it to a self-asserted as well. And then you need to paste your URL here and then save this setting. Okay. So this will simply take few seconds because sometimes it might be a cache issue as well. So you maybe, clear the cache of the browser history as well, so that it will immediately reflect on the portal. Okay. So this is the second way how you can, customize the B2C layout. The third thing is write custom validations and the business logic. So it is the same thing. In the same HTML page, you can write your own JavaScript as well. Okay. So for example, like once you want to change something, like, you are entering something here and you want to put some sort of placeholder here. If you hit the sign in, you want to change the default error message what appears here, or you want to some additional business logic. Okay, so you can simply use the JavaScript as well. So as you know, like it's a simple HTML. So in the HTML, you are allowed to write the CSS, JavaScript, and everything. And one more interesting thing is that you can also call the Power Automate. So that is very good thing. You know the HTTP endpoint based Power Automate you can create, right? And that you can call it from the JavaScript. But always remember, if you are using the HTTP endpoint based Power Automate, always enable the authentication setting. You know, like there are three kind of settings right now: anyone, any user in the tenant, anyone, and the specific user in the tenant. So if you don't know, I can quickly show you that as well. So if you create any Power Automate with maybe I can check automated state. Yeah, so this is the Power Automate I was talking about. So if you have some complex business logic that you want to also trigger it from the B2C page, that you can also do it. So what you can do, you can create a when a HTTP request is received kind of HTML, sorry, the Power Automate, and but don't enable it for anyone. Okay, because this will enable this flow for anonymous access as well. So that's not a good setting. So you can use any user in my tenant and a specific user in my tenant. And this will require some app registration and everything. So MS Microsoft has already given all the instruction that how you can authenticate that. So once you enable that, you can do all the kind of magic in your Power Automate and then return the response back to that flow, right? And then use this particular, once you save that, it will give you the HTTP URL, and that URL or the endpoint you can call it in your HTML page, and then write your business logic. So that is also a very good option to write your own business logic, right? All right, so now we have the API connector, language translation, and the custom policy. So these options are basically for very high level of customization. So for example, if you go to the API connector here, what it basically means is, so um, if you go to the manage API connector, click new API connector. Here you can see like you can provide the endpoint URL. So this endpoint URL cannot be the Power Automate URL at this point of time, because the authentication type is basic and the certificate type. So if you have any endpoint URL or any API that support the basic authentication or the certificate based authentication, basically that you can also call it during the authentication process. Okay, now what is the business significance of this? Sometimes you know uh, while doing the authentication, you want to have some additional layer of security. You want to do one more level of authentication from your own application. Once that is approved, then only you want to do the authentication through Azure AD B2C, right? For example, like you are already using SQL server, and then once the user put their username and password here, first you want to check whether that user exists in your SQL. Once it is exist, once it will give the response back to your API connector, then you want to start the authentication process, right? You got me right. So basically, when you have to have one additional layer of security or additional business check before the actual authentication works, right? Then in that case, you can use this API connector option. Okay. So currently it support basic and the certificate type. Now, once you, let's say, enable this data, sorry, once you create this API connector, I actually tried it for Dataverse, but unfortunately it doesn't work because that doesn't support that authentication. But if you create that some API connector, then how you can use it in your user flow. So if I go here, API connector, okay, to the user flow. So if I open this, so this is my user flow. And if I click the API connector, before including application claim in the token, okay? So this is basically, you can, this is basically the trigger point of that API connector, right? Because here you can only configure what API or what endpoint you want to call, right? But when you want to trigger that API connector or API endpoint, so here you can decide. So open that user flow, and this is the trigger point, the before including application claims in the token. And this always happens when the authentication is done from the Azure AD B2C side. Okay, because this token and application claims, everything will be added by the B2C directory once the authentication is done, right? So it is basically a before that. So that's why I'm saying, like, once you enter your login details and before you get authenticated using B2C directory, you want to have some additional check. So for example, like, you want like these certain set of user or these certain email address should not be able to log in your application. Okay. So Azure AD B2C will not be able to do that, right? If that email is there, then of course it will do the, authentication. Of course, you can enable some kind of conditional access policies and everything, but you can have some additional business logic based on that. You want to say yes or no by calling that API connector. Okay, so this is basically about that. Now you also got the language option as well. So so you have got currently 32 to 36 languages right now by default, but you can add some additional languages as well based on your customer need. And you can configure that as well, like which in particular language you want to enable. So you can see like the English is the default language right now, which is enabled, but you can enable the other languages as well. So if you hit the enable language customization, you are allowed to add some more language. For example, if you want to enable the Dutch, then you can enable and you can set that as a default language as well. So for example, if you try to log in or sign up from the B2C page, the default language will be Dutch. And here there are the different pages of where you can download the default the language translation as well. So you work well with the Microsoft Dataverse, right? And in the Microsoft Dataverse also, you export the translation file, you make that changes, and then you import it back, right? In the similar way, you can download the content or the label or the string of the specific page, and you can share it with your partners who is responsible to make all the necessary changes in the language, and then you can import it back here. Okay, so this is basically how you can change the languages as well. Now the interesting question here is that I am changing the language in the B2C page, and if I am changing the language, how I can pass the parameter from the Power Pages side uh, and change the language of the Azure AD B2C, because both are different application, right? So to do that, for example, like for the time being, I enable, maybe if I go, so Portuguese. Okay, so let me enable this Portuguese language, enable that, and then I don't want to keep that as a default and save it. So once I do that, okay, this language has been saved, close. If you go to the configured, you can see like two language has been enabled and the English is the default one. So once you run the user flow, okay, and click on the localization, you see here there is a special parameter got added called UI locals, right? And if you want to include that parameter in your URL, click yes. And here you need to select that language. So if you select English and run the user flow, just closely observe the URL here. You can see, let me put it here, and you can see there is an additional parameter got added called UI locals equal to EN. Okay. And if I do the same for the Portuguese that I have enabled just right now and click on the run user flow, it will enable for Portuguese as well. But you may ask like question why the language has not been translated, because it's a cache issue, because I've been working and my default language set in the browser is English. That's why I did not change that. But if I copy this and hit that URL in the private window, it will work. So I already tried and tested that, and you can also check that as well. So the main thing here is that this parameter. So whenever you are calling a particular Azure AD B2C page from the Power Pages site, you need to make sure that you are including the UI locals equal to the language code in order to change that language. So for example, like you are using Power Pages site and user has by default changed their language setting that to English or to Portuguese or to German, right? How you can send that information to your B2C page so that it automatically changed the language for the B2C pages. Okay. So as I said, like in the automation case, I've already shown you one Power Pages. So in the Power Pages, I am sending the invitation URL, right? So let me go back again. If you can see the send email, and here you can see like I am sending this URL to the customer. They will hit this URL and they will, by hitting this URL, they will be on the login page of the B2C and they need to provide the username and password. But here I have to include the parameter basically. So this parameter I have to include in that setting, this one. Okay, so once I include this parameter in this URL, it will automatically change the language of the B2C page as well. Okay, so this is not only applicable for the Power Pages side, it is also applicable for any application that you are integrating with the Power Pages, sorry, with the Azure AD B2C. So that is about the language translation. The last thing that in the authentication is the custom policy. So custom policy is basically whenever the out of box features or the components doesn't fit your client needs, then you can create your own policies. So here you can see like when you create a new user flow, you have got only these options, right? Password reset, profile editing, sign up and sign in, and they all work in a specific manner, right? But sometimes your client wants to change the process, how the out of box Azure AD B2C work. You want to change the steps, the ordering of the flow, or you want to have some features that the out of box user flow doesn't support. So for example, like once the user change their password, we want to send them a notification that your password has been reset. It seems like a very simple requirement, but right now in the Azure AD B2C, it is not possible using any out of box capabilities. So once user change the password, I want to send the notification that your password has been reset. This feature is there in the Microsoft Entra ID or in the Azure AD, but that is not there in the Azure AD B2C. And there are a lot of features. There are a lot of such features are there. You can get it from the GitHub as well, for which Microsoft has already created the custom policies. Okay. So the basic thing is that if anything which is not possible out of box using any of the user flow, so you have to check first all the out of box options. If not, then you have to check all the features like the HTML, CSS, custom JavaScript and everything. But still it doesn't support it, then you have to, create the custom policies. So for custom policies, what you can do, basically, there is an option called Identity Experience Framework in the left panel. You need to go here. Okay, and here you can get all the kind of documentation related to that. So if you go to the sample, here you will find all the the default or XML file related to the custom policy. You can change those custom policies. You can see like I have created few custom policies for my own learning. So password reset, the workbase and workflow extension. So these kind of policies I have created. And once you do that on your local machine, so basically it's an XML based implementation. So it's not that easy unless you have the XML knowledge. You are very proficient in the XML because it doesn't support any other languages. Unfortunately, you have to be very careful while changing all the XML tags and everything. So first of all, you need to get the default custom policies from the Microsoft GitHub page, same like the templates that I have shown you just a while ago. And then you have to make the changes in those XML. Okay. And then once you've done that, then you have to import those custom policies in a specific order. For example, like I had to change the password reset custom policy only. But in order to do that, I had to upload three more custom policy in a specific order. So if password reset policy is being referred in some other policy and I am uploading that in the wrong order, then it will give some error as well. Okay. So I will demonstrate that in some other session that how you can create the custom policy because that is also a very common requirement these days if you have to create your own user flow. All right. All right. So this is all about how you can change the authentication process of the Power Pages. Now let's talk about what are the different other options to customize the Power Pages application. Okay. Okay, so now we have the option called customize and extend the site UI and the styling. So authentication, we have checked like what are the different options to extend that. Now let's see how you can extend the user experience, the styling and the look and feel of the website, right? Because portal Power Pages site is a customer facing website and it's quite a common requirement that every customer wants to match the UI or the look and feel of your site to match with their organization branding. Okay. So I will show you what are the default options are there and then what are the custom or the extensibility options are there. Okay. All right. So the first option is the changing CSS. The first option is change CSS of specific website pages. Okay, so that is the first thing. So like on the Power Pages site, there are various web pages. So web pages is nothing. It's just a placeholder. It's just a container where you display the information, right? Without the web page, you can't do anything on the portal. So if you have to show any list, you have to show any form, or if you have to show any custom element or component, you first need to have the page available. Okay. So imagine you have 100 pages on your website and you want to make changes in the CSS on a specific page, right? So for that, you will not change the whole CSS of your Power Pages site. You will go to that specific web page and will change the CSS of that, and that's it. Okay. So this is the first option that you have got. The CSS statement that are added to the web page will apply to that specific web page only. Okay. And this basically approach works for small adjustment, as I said, when you want to, make the changes in a single page. But if you have to make the changes in multiple pages, the same CSS you have to change, the same UI you have to change on the multiple pages, then it is recommended but a better approach is to record the customization in one or more CSS file and then apply them to the entire website. So this is applicable when you have to make the changes in the multiple pages. Okay, I will demonstrate all these features one by one. But first, let's go through all the extensibility options as well. So this is the first option. The second option is the themes. Okay. So basically the theme determines the appearance of all the pages on your website, and it basically covers everything, all the components like the banner, the colors, the fonts, and all the visual elements you see it on the portal. Now, if you have to change the look and feel of your whole Power Pages website using the theme, then you have two options. The first is default theme. So default themes option basically is, you have got some list of themes available provided by the Microsoft. So you can simply select or choose those themes and apply to your complete Power Pages site. Okay. And it will automatically change everything like, as I said, like the banner, color, fonts, headings, everything. Nowadays, as I said, the Copilot has been integrated with each and every component of the Power Platform. So if any theme is not fit in your business need, and if it is not there in the list provided by the Microsoft, you can see in the right picture, you can ask the Copilot to generate a theme for you. Okay, and you can see like in the right panel you have some prompts available for you, like create a color theme using blue colors for my software company. So if your software company use some other color policies and everything, so you can ask for that as well. Create a color theme with summer colors, create a color theme that's neutral, something like that. So you can ask that from the Copilot and it will generate a themes for you. Okay, I will show you that part as well. The third option that you have got is the CSS. Okay. So basically, in the Power Pages, all the Power Pages website that you have got, basically you have the following files, the Bootstrap themes and the portal basic theme. So basically you have got three CSS file that is included on all the Power Pages site. So as you know, like Power Pages is a SaaS based application and is already comes with a lot of features, a lot of UI and look and feel, right? And where all these things comes from, where all this UI and look and feel comes from, this all the look and feel comes from these three CSS. The first is the Bootstrap. So as you know, like the Power Pages built on top of the Bootstrap framework, and now it support the Bootstrap 5 version as well. So always remember that theme.css and the portal basic theme. So these are the three files, are the default file that Power Pages use. Okay, and it basically decide the whole design or the style of your entire website. Now, how you can write your own custom CSS? Okay, so before now you have two questions. I have to write my own CSS. Then what is the best way to do that? Can I change the existing CSS provided by the Microsoft, or I have to create my own CSS? Right. So these are the two questions you always have whenever you are changing the styling. So that gives the answer by these 2 points. So first is, if creating the completely styling for the entire site, then replace the content of the CSS file. So for example, like you don't like or you don't want to use any of the existing CSS styling of the Power Pages site. So you want to create a complete styling. You want to take the takeover of complete styling of our Power Pages site. Then the second option for you. Okay. So this process basically works well if you have the access to a good designer who can ensure the definition for all the relevant elements. Okay, if you have a very good UI UX designer in your team, then you can take that risk that you can change all the existing CSS that you have got with the Power Pages, and you can change that. And this approach creates centrally controlled styling and ensure the consistency through the website. Okay, but always make sure that you download the copy, a backup copy of this file, because once you make the changes, you can't roll it back. Okay, but sometimes you don't want to make the changes in the whole CSS. You don't want to change the complete UI of the Power Pages, but you only want to change the specific elements, or only further, only, small modifications on the element. So then the third option is for you. So redefine only the elements that require modifications such as colors, font size, and everything. Then create and upload the CSS file that contains only those incremental adjustment. Okay. So for example, like you don't like the button color. So create your own CSS file, find that button CSS class, like ID or the class, whatever element using, and then override that setting or the CSS styling in your own CSS file, then upload it back. So by doing that, you are just making that change, that specific CSS style, instead of making the whole CSS change, right? So this process works well if your target design is close to the design that's included with the selected template and only requires the minor styling modification. And this approach allows incremental modification that developers can undo, because you have your own CSS file. You can anyways delete that. You can anyways change that. It will never impact the existing CSS file. So that is the third option. The fourth option, apply the customization to the specific website area. Okay. So basically, you have got the web files. So you can create the CSS file. You can upload as a web file. For example, like here you can see as a theme.css. And then you can set the parent page on which you want to apply that particular CSS. Okay. By doing that, if you specify the parent page in the web file record, then the styles will be applied to that specific parent page and all the descendants of that page, all the child pages of that page. Okay, and this approach makes it possible for you to build the fully customized section of your site. So that will basically help you to change that specific page or the subordinates of that page. But the setting that you have to remember is the partial URL, because in this partial URL you always have to use the extension .css. Okay, otherwise it will not recognize your CSS file. Another option is the customized bootstrap. Okay, so customized bootstrap means you can download your own bootstrap theme or the file from the bootstrap official website. But since due to the popularity of the bootstrap nowadays, there are many other sites that basically created for this purpose. Okay, and these sites might provide a user-friendly interface for bootstrap customization or pre-designed version of the bootstrap. So you can download from any of the site, either from the official bootstrap site or from the bootstrap customizer site. Okay, so for example, like you only want to change. You only want to have the bootstrap of the buttons, or you only want to change the UI of the pop-up that appears on the portal. So you can go to this customizer site. If you want to change the pop-up UI of the pop-up, then go to the pop-up section. If you want to change the button layout, then you go to the button section. So this is basically lets you decide like what kind of component you want to customize. Okay. And when you are customizing the bootstrap, only select the elements that require the modification. For example, if you want to replace the standard fonts with your corporate standard fonts, then select the typography component of this bootstrap. And this basically approach help you reduce the chance of accidentally rewriting other CSS element. Okay, so this is a very good best practice for that. And once you customize your bootstrap, it will generate one or more files that you would want to upload as a web file. So unless your intent is to completely replace the original style, make sure that you avoid using bootstrap CSS, bootstrap min.css, theme.css, and theme.min.css file. Okay. One more option that you have is CSS for simple adjustment. Okay. And I really like this kind of CSS for simple kind of adjustment on the portal, because sometimes just to hide a label, just to make the site responsive, we write a lot of JavaScript in the custom JavaScript section. And we are not aware about this particular feature .css class in the entity form metadata or in the multi-form metadata, right? So Bootstrap framework is the foundation of the styling in the Power Pages site, and basically defines the control, the complete appearance of the website. So developer often overlook this kind of options, such as hiding the element or the adjusting the margins to fit the wide label. So we often go with the JavaScript for that. So always use, you can see like if you have to, change the label, you can override the label, whatever the column label property you have provided in the dataverse. You can always override that. You don't need to write the JavaScript to change the label. You can auto populate the information on the save. You can auto populate the information on load of the page. You can always use the CSS class option. You just put the hide, it will automatically hide from the, from the pages. But of course, if you have to conditionally hide and show, then of course you have to write the JavaScript, because here you don't have any option to conditionally hide and show. That purpose, you always have to go with the JavaScript. Okay. So these are the different options that you have got to customize and extend the UI and the styling of your Power Pages site. Okay. Now the next topic is how you can customize the website pages. Okay, you have changed the UI, the styling and everything. So before jumping into that, I can quickly show you whatever I have demonstrated to you. Uh, okay, so if I go back to my Power Pages site, so here is my Power Pages site. And here, if I start with the Copilot option, so you can see like if we hit the page design, And if you select the create a color theme, and here you get all the options here. So you can simply ask the questions like create a color theme for red colors, for green color for my software company, and whatever question you want to ask. And it will automatically provide you all the list of options. You can download it and you can apply that CSS as well. Okay. The second option you have got is the styling and the theme. You can see in the left panel, you have got list of themes available. You can simply select a particular theme, and it will apply on the complete website. And once you apply that, you can change the specific element as well, like the brand colors, the background colors, font, paragraph, the button, primary, secondary sections, spacing, links, everything you can change it as part of that styling and the theme. But there is an option called manage CSS, and as I shown you, like you have already some CSS available for you, like bootstrap theme, portal basic CSS, and you can create your own CSS as well. Okay, so as I said, like if you want to change the element, only few specific element changes, then create your own CSS is a better option, and then upload it here. You can anytime disable it, or you can anytime remove it as well. Okay, so this is how you can change the stylings of everything. And then if I forget something, okay, so CSS for this, if you can go to the basic form, and then if I open any basic form, let's say create case form, and go to the metadata. And in the metadata also, we have got a lot of options that sometimes we are not aware about it. We can change the property of these controls, like attributes, nodes, sections, subgrid, tab, and the timeline. Sometimes we have to change the the label of the tab and the attributes or the section, and we have to show a long text on the portal. So sometimes there is a limitation in the dataverse as well, that how long, what is the length of the text that we can provide. So you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to write any script for that. You can simply provide your label. And the advantage of using label property here is that it supports the multilingual capabilities. Okay. So for example, like if you have 5 languages enabled in your portal, then you will see the 5 different boxes here that you can provide the label, a specific label of that. Okay. And if I choose the attribute I was talking about, you can change the label. And then here you have got the CSS class. So if you want to write some static CSS class that you want that it should always be applicable whenever the page loads or the form loads, then you can apply the CSS class as well. Okay, and here you can auto populate the value and set the value on the save. That is also a very good option that you can use it. Sometimes I have seen people or the developers writing JavaScript to set the value or auto populate the value. You can write it if you don't want to auto populate the information from the logged in user contact details. Okay, but in order to auto populate the details from the logged in contact details, then of course you have to use the settings. Okay. All right, so let me jump into the another extension option, that how you can extend the pages, how to write the code, what are the different options that you have got to customize the Power Page. So let me take a 2-minute pause, and then I'll continue. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next topic is, how you can extend the website pages, because till now we have seen like how you can extend the UI styling and the look and feel. But developers are more interested to know like what are the different options to extend or write the code. So I cannot show each and everything, so I try to put all the different options in the one slide so you can write the HTML. Okay, I will try to demonstrate one example where I will try to use all this component, not all but few components, so that you will get an understanding like how to write the code in the Power Pages side. But these are all the different languages, components that basically use to create your own pages on the Power Pages side. Or if you already have the pages or the components in your Power Pages, how you can customize that, right? So basically, when you are developing a Power Pages site, you have two choices. The first choice, uh, the out of box list, the out of box forms, the out of box multi-step form, your client doesn't like it, right? So they want to, make changes in the existing component or the look and feel. So they don't like the way the list appears on the portal. They want to add something new in that. They want to add some more elements in that. They don't like the form, the basic form appears on the portal. So they want to make some more changes in that. So sometimes in that case you have to write your own business logic as well, right? So that is the first thing, when you have to make the changes in the existing component or existing page. And the second is you have to create a fully customized page where you don't want to use any sort of out of box component. So you have to create a, for example, you have to create a custom page where you have to show the editable subgrid. So where you want to show the list of all the data pulled from the database, Dataverse, and you want to perform the CRUD operation. So in that case, you will not be able to use any sort of out of box component. So I'll just quickly go through all the different options that we have to extend the portal capabilities. The first thing is the HTML. uh, I don't want to explain the HTML. If you have to create your own HTML page, you have that capabilities, and you can of course use the CSS, Bootstrap, everything along with that. And then you can use the custom JavaScript and the jQuery. So if you have to write any sort of custom or the client validations, so like JavaScript is a client-side language, so you can't expect any server-side code from this. So if you have any sort of a business requirement where you need to write any client-side business logic like the validations, or maybe you have to play with the DOM, the document object model. You have to write any complex CSS, because sometimes you have to hide and show the control. You have to use the append functions, next functions, parent function, closest function. There are a lot of functions are there in the JavaScript that are basically used to handle the CSS or the look and feel of the website. So custom JavaScript can be used for that purpose as well. It is for the validation purpose and it is for the CSS purpose as well. Power FX, it is basically in the preview right now. I forgot to put the label preview, but it's going to be very very interesting feature going forward, because it helps you minimize the code that you used to write using custom JavaScript. So if you have to dynamically display the information on the Power Pages side, so well, like the power of the Power FX language you have been using in the Power Automate, the Canvas app, on the model driven app. So you have the capabilities of the Power FX, right? So not all the features right now you get it in the Power Pages, but yeah, it just in start. Currently, it support only few functions. For example, like user function, I will show you that as well. But not all, but it doesn't support all the functions. It comes with some limitations because Microsoft has introduced that as experimental feature. But going forward, Microsoft is expecting that we submit the feedback like what should be what other features we can be achieved using this Power FX, right? Low code plugins. This is also in the preview in right now. So, but it is also a very interesting features going forward. It is nothing to do with the Power Pages, to be very honest. But there are very common use cases where you have to write the server side business logic. You have to write some server side, validations. And for that purpose, you always had to rely on the plugins, the Dataverse plugins, and the real-time workflows or the custom workflows assemblies. Because as you know, like right now, we have only two components that can run or trigger synchronously. That is, first is the Dataverse plugin, and the second is the real-time workflow, right? And the low code plugin is really a very low code way to write the server side the code, right? Cloudflow integration is also a low code way. So I'm going to demonstrate that as well quickly. So Cloudflow integration basically provides, all the 1000 plus connectors that we have. So imagine like you are now allowed to integrate your Power Pages with 1000 plus connectors for the data sources. Okay. And the Cloudflow is not only used for integrating your Power Pages with the external data sources, but you can also use the Cloudflows for writing the complex business logics as well. For example, like if I give some of the example, like if you want to upload if you want to provide the file upload capabilities on the portal where you want to upload that file directly to the SharePoint, OneDrive, or wherever the client has provided you the location, or if you want to call any external API. So Cloudflow is one of the best way these days to handle all these kind of requirements. I have plenty of requirements. You can connect me one to one as well, where I have written a lot of complex business logics as well. Where for that I had written a lot of JavaScript or the portal web API calls in the past. But nowadays, within a half an hour, I have written a lot of complex business logic in the Cloudflow, and it basically helps to reduce the code and the improve the performance of your site as well. Okay. Real-time workflows, I'll show you the capabilities of that as well. Sometimes you have to synchronously call some business logic from the Power Pages side. As I said, like we have very limited components to write the real-time business logic, and real-time workflow is one of them. Liquid is one of the powerful code that we have. So if you have to create a completely customized page where you want to use the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and you have to write the fetch XML as well, and you have to perform CRUD operation, you have to dynamically pull the data from the dataverse, and you have to interact or communicate with some other components of the Power Pages like site settings, site markers, or the content snippet. Then the liquid code is for you. Okay, imagine you have different components of the Power Pages like site settings, site markers, content snippet, web template, and all those components can talk to each other without querying to the dataverse, right? So this can be done using liquid code. Portal web API. So, it is basically used to perform the CRUD operation. Sometimes you have to create a custom HTML or custom page where you want to have a control over on the, when you want to create the data, when you want to read the data, update the data, or delete the data. So in that case, you can use the Portal web API. So it's similar like the Dataverse web API, but with the limited operations. Okay. Web components. So web components is also a very new feature which basically used to create the reusable components. So uh, we have seen like requirements in the Power Pages where you want to create a component or a page, and you want to display that same information on the different pages. So it's not a good idea that you are rewriting the same code or rewriting the same business logic on the multiple pages. So it's always a good idea to create that business logic or feature as a component, and you can utilize across your Power Pages site. Uh, Microsoft has given the name Web Component, but I have been using it since long time back because there are different other ways as well to create the reusable components using content snippet and the web template. It also use the similar, strategy to create the web components. So I'll quickly show you that as well. PCF control, it's basically not only related to the portal, but PCF control is something that you already know. Like you can create as a separate component external to the Power Platform, and you can use it in the Canvas app, in the model driven app, and same way you can use it in the portal as well. Okay, so you don't need to do any additional uh, s- um, of course, you have to do the configuration a little bit, but you don't need to write any sort of code in order to embed that PCF control in your Power Pages site. So if you are looking for any custom component that is not possible using Power Pages, and you can't achieve it using the JavaScript or whatever components that we have in the Power Platform, then you can create it as a PCF control. Okay. Azure DevOps and this Power Platform CLI. So this is basically related to the deployment and performing yeah. So not specific for anything. It is basically for the deployment purpose. So Power Platform CLI support a lot of commands that basically helps you take the export of your website on the local machine. If you are of course, if you are the developer, then you have been quite habitual of using VS Code, Visual Studio, GitHub, Azure DevOps. So for you, if you want to, develop the code or write the code offline, you don't want to connect it to the Power Pages site, then you can take the export of your complete Power Pages site on your local machine. You can do all the side of designing, customization, and everything. And then once you log in, then you can import those changes back to the Power Pages site. Okay. So this basically helps you connect with the Azure DevOps as well and provide you the complete ALM kind of process where you can, in the VS Code, you can directly connect your site to the Azure DevOps. You can integrate the CI/CD as well in order to automate the deployment as well. Okay. APIM and the Azure function. So basically, these two components are from the Azure side, but there are many use cases where you can use the APIM as well. So basically, APIM is nothing; it's just an API management provided by the Azure, and it basically use in the Azure to create the custom APIs. So as you know, like in the past when we did not had the Cloudflow integration, we used to have the HTTP endpoint based Power Automate, right? So I have seen there are many customer or many developers using those HTTP endpoint directly from the Power Pages side. So it's not always a good idea. That is also not secure as well. So when you have to call any external API, there are many projects where I have seen like you don't need to store the data in the database. You have to directly call that API from the Power Pages side using JavaScript. Okay. So for that purpose, you can either create an APIM by providing an additional layer of security on top of that the API, and then you can call it. Okay, I have seen many scenario for Azure functions as well. Like sometimes in order to provide an additional security, you can create an Azure function and you can use that endpoint in your Power Pages site to call that particular business logic. Okay, so basically, there are a lot of questions being asked by the on the community, like how I can directly call the external API. Okay, so the first thing is that in order to call the API directly, there is a authentication mechanism that Microsoft has provided that is called OAuth Grant Flow 2.0 Grant Flow, something like that, implicit grant flow in Power Pages. Yeah. So basically, this is the strategy that you have to use. So OAuth 2.0 implicit grant flow is basically a way that basically provide you the token. And if you have to integrate your Power Pages site, if you have to integrate your Power Pages or you have to call any external API, then you always have to use the OAuth 2.0 grant flow. Okay, I'll provide you that link in the chat as well. You can go through that, and this is very important and a secure way how you can call that API directly. So you can get the sample code as well, and yeah. So this is basically the article for you if you are directly calling any external API through the Power Pages site. So this is the one way. And the second way, as I already told you, like you have the Cloudflow, or if you are not using the Cloudflow, if you are using the HTTP endpoint based Power Automate, then I always recommend to use the APIM to provide an additional layer of security. All right. Now, and then we have the Dataverse plugins and the webhook. So this is also which is not directly related to the Power Pages side, but sometimes I have seen you have to write very complex business logics, and that should be run at the server side. Okay, so you have to take this decision very carefully whether you need to write all sort of that validation at the client side or at the server side, because sometimes you have to run all those validations not only from the Power Pages side but also from the model driven app side as well. So you have to decide whether you want to write those server side validation as a reusable validation so that you can go with the plugins, so that from wherever you are performing the operations in the Dataverse, those validation will run regardless of the portal, Canvas app, Power BI, wherever it is. Okay. So you always have to remember, like, Dataverse plugins runs at the server side. So you might need to write sometimes server side logic as well, and that will trigger also from the Power Pages side. Business rules. So as you know, like business rules also support the server side as well. So if you are writing any server side business rule, so whenever you are creating a business rule in the model driven app, if you set the scope to entity level, then they will run at the server side as well. So yes, the business rule will also trigger from the Power Pages side if they are set to entity as a scope. Custom workflows, assemblies, and the custom API, they will also trigger, same like the plugins and the webhooks. So those are all the server side as well. So they can also be triggered from the Power Pages side. Sometimes this question is also there, can we use some partner libraries, some external APIs as well? So yes, so for some kind of UX enhancement like mass control, real-time communications APIs like Signal R, sophisticated UI frameworks like Angular, Vue, React, and other various business services like address validation, map APIs, routing service, logistic, and so on. So these all kind of partner libraries are also supported on the Power Pages side. Okay. So these are the different ways how you can customize your Power Pages site. So let me quickly show you one very good example. So if I can go to the Design Studio and go to the pages, and if I hit preview, so this is just a very simple example I wanted to give you, like how you can design your own custom page. I don't want to dive deep into the all the out of box components like list and everything, but you can see like this is my website, and in this website you see some, as soon as I log in on the website, you see some greeting message with my name. And that seems quite personal as well because I have logged in and someone is greeting with my name. So how you can dynamically pull the logged in user information. So that is also possible in the Power Pages. And then you can see like I have shown the count of number of events. So this is a site basically for the event management purpose. And here you can see some default text or some string messages. Like this is the title and this is some sort of description, and this description can be something else as well and could be lengthy description as well. And here you can see the count, how many events are there, and and this all the information is pulling from the Dataverse. Okay, so as I said, like Power Pages is built on top of Microsoft Dataverse, so all the information is stored in the Dataverse right now. But there are two ways to display that information. Either I can simply use the list, like the list feature that we have, the list component that will simply show the list of all the events like Business Central, CX Summit, and everything. Or my customer don't want to use the list because its look and feel doesn't look good. So they want to, display the UI in this way, like, the banner image, the title, and the register options and everything. Okay. So how I design this page. Okay. Because I have to pull, because here I have to perform the retrieve operation from the Dataverse to pull that information. And then I have to use the HTML, CSS, JavaScript to render that information. And on click of register, I have to perform some sort of event in the Dataverse as well. So how can I do that? And all this kind of control. So if I go to the home page here, click on home and click on edit code, it will take me to the VS Code page, the web version. And here the interesting thing you can see, the first line says include fetch XML get events. So the include is basically the keyword that basically used to include the other web templates. Now, what is web template? So web template is a component in the Power Pages where you can write the liquid code. Okay, it is very helpful to write the code in the web template because it support HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the liquid code, fetch XML and everything, right? And it also provide you the reusability as well. So that's why it's always a good practice that you write the code in the web template. Okay. Now, if you are writing the code in the web template, you can include the code written in the another web template as well. Okay. So for that purpose, you have the include keyword. Okay. Now, what is the business requirement of including one template in another template? Sometimes you are writing a code which is quite lengthy. Okay. You can break down your code for the better management. So for example, you have written the fetch XML and you have, so you have the fetch XML, you have the HTML, and then you have some complex business logic, you have some custom API call. You may not want to write everything in the single template. You want to break down it so that you can better manage it in the case of error handling and everything. Okay. So for that, what I've done it, if I go to the web template here, go to the web template, and if I search this web template here, you will find like this is the web template fetch XML I'm using. And this web template will only have my fetch XML. Okay. I have written the fetch XML that basically retrieve all the events that is stored in this Power Guide events table. So this is the dataverse table where I'm basically retrieving all kind of events, and make sure whatever attribute you are going to use it in your HTML to display, you need to include that as well. If you don't include a particular attribute, you cannot expect the, the value of it in your HTML. So, so in order to run this query or the result of this query, I have basically added that here. So include fetch XML get events. So this will give me the list of all the events. And then here you can see like I'm greeting the user with the name, hey, user dot first name. So user is nothing. It basically the logged in contact, okay, which gives me all the logged in user information. So first name, last name, email address, or any custom attribute. So whatever the custom and the out of box attributes are there of the logged in user, you can directly get that information by just putting dot and then put the logical name of that attribute. You don't need to write a query for that. Okay. And here I'm writing a condition like if user, that means if the user is logged in. Okay. So this basically syntax tell if the user is authenticated or if it user is anonymous. So if user is authenticated, then display or greet the user with the name, else just say hello anonymous user. All right. So this is the liquid template syntax where you can simply get the logged in user information. And sometimes you want to display the information based on some role as well. So you can simply put user dot roles, and that also will give you the web role that is being assigned to that particular logged in user. Okay. Now, the another thing is that uh, as you can see, like on the portal screen, there are some text messages are written, Microsoft Community Bootcamp and industry events. And then I have some, the descriptions as well. So it's not a good practice that you are directly hard coding those content information or the string messages in your code, because this can be changed in the future. So you always want to keep it as a configurable. So how you can do that? So for that, you have a component called content snippet. So if you can see, like if I go to the content snippet and if I find this particular content snippet with the name title, if I search like this And if I open this one, you see like this message I have written in the content snippet and it is coming from here. Okay. And then if I search in a similar way, the home greeting description, open it, watch Power Pages 30 days learning challenge here. So these two information I am basically showing here. So I'm talking about this. Welcome to Power Guide community and watch Power Pages here, right? Because tomorrow, if I have to change the message, I don't need to come to my code and have to change it, right? I can directly change it in the content snippet, and a non-developer can also change this message as well, right? So you can see like, I am writing the code in the web template. So this is my web template where I'm writing the HTML code. And here I have interacted with another web template, which is called fetch XML get elements. I have interacted with the dataverse table user or the contact table. Now I am interacting with the table called snippet, content snippet, and I don't need to write any query for that, right? So this is the magic or advantage of writing code in the liquid code, that you can dynamically pull the information, or you can communicate with other components as well. Now imagine you have some anchor tag in your code, and you have to provide the href. So for example, like if I go to my Power Pages site and on click of the welcome, I want to take user to a particular page or the registration page. Okay. And of course, if I have to take the user to a registration page, I need to provide the URL, right? And like in the Power Pages, if you have to take user to a particular page, you need to know the the partial URL, right? So if I go to the web page and imagine like I have to redirect user to access denied page, imagine, okay? So I need to know the partial URL because this page can be accessed by the partial URL. Okay, so if I directly copy this and hard coding this value in this href, if tomorrow any developer or someone else has changed this partial URL, that code will break, right? That redirect logic will not work. So it's always a good practice that instead of hard coding the URL, you can use the site markers feature. Now, what is site marker is? So site markers basically wrapper of a particular web page, right? So how you can create a site markers? Go here, create a new site marker, and inside the site marker, you can refer a particular page like this. Okay, name it, website, the name like this, and the put the name of that particular site markers. Now what happen is if I call this site marker will call this particular page. If tomorrow, if you make any changes in this particular page, like partial URL and everything, it will not impact the code because you have to care about the site markers, not the page. Okay. So you can see like I have used the site markers view events dot URL. So you don't need to only write the name of a particular site marker. You need to put the URL as well so that you can get the partial URL of it. Okay. This is another example. Now the third example that I'm using here is, so these are the other examples as well. Like I'm using the content snippet here. You can see for these kind of information for this text and this text. These are also information stored in the content snippet. Now, if I go down, there is a for loop I have written. So since like I have already written the fetch XML, and fetch XML will give me the, the collection of all the events. So I need to loop through them, right? So if I have to loop through them, but you can see like if I have to loop through all the events, I have to arrange in this particular way. I mean the layout of the the events in this way. The first I need to show the image of the event, then the title, then the time, and then the registration button. Okay, so it just I don't want to explain that part because here I'm just simply writing the HTML part that will simply loop through and will create all the control. But the interesting fact here is that uh, result is basically the web template. You can see like I have just I'll show you like fetch XML. First, let me go to the fetch XML. Okay, so if I open this fetch XML, you see like when this fetch XML will run, it will store the result. Okay, it will store the result in the my query. Okay, and here in the and you can see like my query dot results dot entities dot size. Here I'm actually checking the count of all the events. Okay, so the count is 6 that is displayed on the portal. And here in the for loop also, I am, in my query, I'm getting all the, the event data using this particular syntax and storing in it in the object called result, and then looping through everything. So result will have the event information. So result dot attribute name that is being used in the fetch XML. So if this attribute is not there in the fetch XML, then this information will not be retrieved. Then the start date, and then here you can see like the button. But you can see like the button is in the button, I have provided one condition here. So I'm hiding show the button based on some condition. Now, what is that condition? Condition is that I want to create a setting called Power Guide Enable Session Registration. Okay. And based on this session, based on this setting value, I want to enable the registration option. So imagine like, your organizer say like your coordinator say, just close the registration for all the events. Okay. So you will not come to this code and remove this button HTML, right? That's not a good practice that you make the changes in the code. Instead of that, you can provide some kind of setting option where you can just simply go set this value to true, then the registration will be open. If you set that value to false, then the registration will be closed. Okay. So just for the demonstration purpose, I have created a site setting called Power Guide Enable Session Registration. So if we go to the site setting here, so it's up to you like how you want to take the advantage of all this component. And here you can see like there is a site setting which is nothing but the key value pair. So I have put the value called true. So if this setting is true, then I will show the registration button. If that value is false, then I will not show the registration button, right? So you can see like this value is true. So in the HTML, in the liquid, you can see if the value is true, I'm getting this value by using this setting. Since this is the name of the component called settings, and this is the name of the site setting, and default value is true. And if it is true, then show the button, else not. Okay. So for the demonstration, if I can quickly turn off this setting called false and save it, and then go to the portal and sync the changes. I hit the URL. Yeah, you can see the registration option gone here. So this is how the magic of the site setting, and you can use it as per your own need as well. And I just wanted to demonstrate like if you're writing a full-fledged custom code, how you can leverage other components capabilities as well. Okay, so this is the way how you can do that. So you can use the snippet, you can do everything as one, right? And here you can also call the Power Automate. So that's why I was talking about. So let me enable this setting again, and we'll see like how you can call the Power Automate. So we'll save it again, go back to the sync, so that setting will be enabled. Now what I have done it, once I'll click on the register. Uh, okay, so let me first go back to the portal. I come down. So what I want to do it, if I hit the register option, I want to do the registration of the logged in user. Okay. So in order to do the registration, I need to first know what is the logged in user first name, last name, email address and everything. And also know for which particular event he wants to register. Okay. So in order to call the Power Automate, go to the Design Studio, go to the setup, and here you will find the cloud flow option. Okay. And I've already created a cloud flow here. So go here and click on flow details. And Microsoft has provided the inbuilt cloud flow integration nowadays. And it provides you the Power Pages connector as well. So you can see like this is my flow. And if I go to the edit, if you ever used Power Automate within the Canvas app, you have seen the Power Apps connector is there. So the Canvas app can pass the parameter to Power Automate, and then Power Automate can do all the kind of business logic and return the parameter back to the Canvas app. In the similar way, you have got the Power Pages connector where you can take the input from the Power Pages side. So in order to do the registration, I need the event details. So I took the event parameter, the first name, last name, email, and the contact details of the logged in user. So right now, there is no way to get the contextual information of the logged in user directly in the Power Pages side. So you need to pass the contact ID as a parameter. So all this parameter I need to pass. And then based on that, I will get the contact based on ID that I got from the Power Pages site. I will get the event for which the user is trying to register. And then I'm creating a entry in the Power Guide registration table. And once the registration is done, I want to return that registration number as an output. Okay. So let's go back to the portal and imagine like I want to register for this. So once I click on register, on click of register, the cloud flow is being called and you can see I got the message registration successful, event registration ID is this. Okay. Now how I am calling this cloud flow from this. So once you click create the cloud flow and click on edit, you will see it gives you a URL. Okay, so this URL is basically the endpoint. And the interesting thing is that you can also associate the web role as well. So authenticated user, that means if the user is authenticated, then only this Power Pages will be called. Okay. And then how you call that Power Automate or Cloudflow using a script. So again, I'm going back to my liquid code. And here you can see on click of register, I'm basically I'm not hard coding the URL of the Power Pages site and the domain, and this is the URL. And it's up to you whether you want to keep this URL directly in your code. I don't think there is any harm because it is not going to be changed in the future. But always remember you don't keep the Power Pages site URL here. But if you also want to keep this part out from this code, you can keep it in the site setting. I have demonstrated, right? The site setting is basically a key value pair. So you can create a site setting and keep your Power Pages URL here. And in the similar way, as I have shown you here, or you can retrieve the site setting value this way. You can just pass the name of your site setting name and you can pass it here. So you don't need to pass the hard coded value as well. All right, and then here all the parameters that I'm passing like event ID, and you can see like the logged in user information. I don't need to retrieve it from the contact table by any sort of any fetch XML or the web API. I can directly use the liquid code to get the contextual information like first name, last name, email address, and the contact ID. And this is the same call that you use it to call any REST API. So once the response is there, then I am showing like registration successful and the registration ID is this. So this is a very simple code that you can use it to call the Cloudflow. All right. Awesome. So this is how you can do the integrations of the Cloudflow and everything. Now let me go back here. So this is, I was just wanted to talk to you regarding a liquid code. Now, if I show you the real-time workflow, I'll go to the Power Pages site and you can see like I have a page called manage session. So, like in the event management page, the speakers submit their lot of sessions. So I have created a list here. You can see like these are all the sessions that have been submitted by various speakers. So I want to provide a capability to the organizer that they can review the session and they can straight away take the action, approve or decline. Okay. So on click of approve, I want to change the status of this uh, session to approve, right? So if I click approve, are you sure you want to approve this? Click yes. Perfect. So you can see immediately the status of that particular session got changed to approve, right? So these kind of things you can directly achieve it using real-time workflow as well. So for this, I have simply created a real-time workflow. So you can go to the process and I have created two real-time workflows here. One is approve and one is decline. So if I directly take you to that decline one, you can see like I have set this as a on demand because only on demand or the manual real-time workflows can be triggered from the Power Pages. Okay, of course, that these can also be triggered, but they will not provide you this kind of experience. For example, like here you have the option to where it is here. So here you got the option to choose approve or decline. If you don't create it as a on demand or the manual one, you don't get that option. So you always have to create that as a real-time workflow. So this is the one example how you can leverage the real-time workflows capabilities. Or if you have some complex business logic, you can anyways create your custom workflow assembly also in between, and you can also do that as well. So if you have really, really complex business logic and you want to trigger it synchronously, then you can also do that as well. That's why I have included the custom workflow assembly and custom API as well, because in the workflow, you can nowadays call the custom API as well. So this up to you, like how you want to call it. Okay. And then we have the web components. So for example, there is one example I have also shown you for the web component is the review feature. Okay. You can see like uh, web. I have basically created a web template here. If you can, if I go to the web template and go to review, here you can see I have created a review component, this one. And in this review component, so I was talking about this basically web component. So how you can create a reusable component in the Power Pages. So in order to create the reusable component, so here what I'm doing it, I'm basically retrieving all the information from the review. So give me all the reviews that have been submitted in the review table. And then I'm just simply writing a simple HTML as I shown you in the liquid code as well. But here there are few information that I want to take it from the user. Okay. And what that information? That information is basically if you can go here and edit the custom component, you can see like whenever I want to add this component on a particular page. So let me show you one example. Click on page and let me talk like this. Add. Since I have created this component as a reusable component, if I click here, you will see the custom component called review. Okay. So whenever I will create a particular component as a web component, you can see here I have created this component as a web component. So how this will decide like this particular component will be act as a web component. So you always have to use this manifest file. If you include this manifest file inside your code, then this web template will be converted into the web component. Okay. Now, if I go back again to my Design Studio and click on reviews, it will ask few parameters. So if we click on edit, it asks for the title, count, number of columns, limit for review, and load more label. So these 5 parameters, I need it. So these 5 parameters you can see I'm asking in the web template code. For example, number of columns, count, title. So all this information I'm taking from the input and then passing it here. For example, if you can see like the count here, I'm showing the number of columns that I want to use. So I mean, the objective is whatever input I'm taking from the user, I'm basically, rendering my HTML or creating my table or whatever design based on the user input. Okay. In the similar way, this web template works. So if I go back to my design page and can show you this review, this is how the UI looks like. If I go to review, so you can see the review is, so this information is basically pulling it from the review table. Don't focus on the, the UI because it's up to you. You can write your own HTML, CSS and everything. But the main thing here is that how many number of records you want to show, how many number of, this boxes you want to show in a single line. These all the kind of things you can simply, make it configurable and can display it on multiple pages. You don't need to write the same business logic again and again, right? Because this review is something that you want to embed on the multiple pages to take the customer review and everything, to show the customer review and everything. So this is how the web component works. All right, so let me jump into the another thing. Okay, I have to show the power effects as well, right? So one last thing I can show you here is the power effects. So since this power pages is on the standard model, so it doesn't support the power effects. So I have to switch to the enhanced data model. And this is the power pages site I have created on the enhanced data model. And it should have the capabilities of the power effects. So remember, it's in the preview right now. So uh, always remember, like, preview feature is not for the production users. So for example, this is the message and here you see the FX. Okay. So I want to display the information, hey, and the name of the logged in user and then welcome to event hub. So click on this text, click on FX and here it will open you the Power FX control for you. And I don't want to explain the power effects because it looks similar whatever you write in the Excel or in the Canvas app, model driven app, or the Dataverse formula. Everywhere it will same. So basically it filter it out the contact table and getting the user ID and get the first name of out from that. Okay. So by default from the user you know from the user object, you only get these three information: date of birth, user ID, email, and the full name. But I want to display the first name. So for that, I need to simply write this logic. Okay. And once I sync and preview, you can see my name will be displayed there. So I would recommend to go through the Power FX article that published by the Microsoft. It has some limitations as well. So they have asked the feedback as well. So you can see like my first name is there. So it's directly coming from the Power FX. Okay. So you can't compare the Power FX with the Liquid, of course, because Liquid is more powerful than the Power FX. And you don't know in the future, there are a lot of capabilities can be there in the Power FX. But I'm sure like it will not going to replace the Liquid template for sure, because you have seen like Power FX is being used in the Canvas app. It is being used in the model driven app. It is being used everywhere nowadays. But still you need to rely on the custom code, right? So it can replace few of the functions For that, you had to write a lot of code in the liquid or in the custom JavaScript, but it will not sure it will surely not replace the custom JavaScript or the liquid code that I believe at least. Okay, perfect. Now let's discuss about to last topic. What are the integration options that we have for the Power Pages? Because we have seen all the custom components, all the liquid capabilities and everything. But if you have to integrate your Power Pages, what are the different capabilities are there? So basically, when you have to integrate your Power Pages, there are two kind of integration you can do. The first is data integration and the second is app integration. Now, what is data integration? Integrating data focusing on the managing and the interacting with data stored in various external data sources. So whenever you have to interact with the data which is stored in external database, you have to send the Dataverse data to external website or some external website wants to take the data from Dataverse. So in that case, you have to use the data integration. And app integration means integrating the apps, focusing the focus is on enhancing the site functionality by either embedding the other Power Platform components or integrating the external app. So app integration basically means Power Pages, as you know, is one of the component of the Power Platform, right? So it is basically one of the family member of Power Platform family. So it supports embedding the Canvas app, Power BI reports, Copilot, and everything, right? So this is the app-based integration. So these kind of apps you can directly embed or you integrate with the Power Pages site, and you can directly start using those features. For example, you want to enable the chatbot integration. You can simply embed the Copilot. Okay. So Copilot is something that you have to design in the Copilot Studio. It is nothing to do with the Power Pages. Of course, it can pull the information from Dataverse and other data sources, but you don't need to do anything in the Power Pages for that. You just need to enable that Copilot. And the similar for the Canvas app, similar for the Power BI. So these kind of application you can directly embed in your Power Pages site. And not only the Microsoft provided apps, you have got some other apps as well that I'm going to discuss about in the next slide. So in order to do the data integration, the first option that you have is the Cloudflow. That is also the recommended option. And it is the low code option as well. Okay. Low code in terms of the Cloudflow, but of course you have to write a small line of code as well in the JavaScript in order to call that Cloudflow. Okay. So the Cloudflow is the one way where you can integrate your Power Pages site to the external database. It provides you 1000 plus connectors that you can also use it. You can also use the custom connectors. If you don't have any connectors available for the API, you have the virtual table capabilities as well. Okay, so you can see like Cloudflow, I have already demonstrated to you. And for virtual table, if I go to my portal and okay, let me go to the different one. So virtual table is basically, like it is basically used to display the external system data in the read-only format, right? So you can see like if I go to events and okay, if I click on the documents, the view is not available. Okay, let me go back and edit it. So if I click on, so I just wanted to show you quickly the virtual table capability. So if I click on the documents, okay. So first, until this is opening. So first of all, let me show you like if you have to enable the virtual table. So you just click on new and then go to the table and then you have got the option called virtual table. Okay, so virtual table means you have to show the external system data in the read-only format. and you have got a lot of options available here that you can use it. So you can integrate the SharePoint data, SQL, Microsoft Fabric, Snowflake, Salesforce, Oracle database, and you can also use the finance and operation data as well. Okay, so imagine I want to integrate with the SharePoint. So if I click SharePoint, click next, and then here you have to provide the SharePoint site. So imagine I select this, click next. It will display me all the SharePoint list from where I want to create the virtual table from. Okay, if I select event docs and click next, you can see it will automatically start creating a table, and it automatically suggests all the list of columns that is already there in the SharePoint. Okay, so these are the SharePoint columns, and it asks me the same column should be there in the Dataverse. So if I hit next and click create, it will automatically create a virtual table, and that will connect it with the SharePoint list called event docs. So whatever operation I am performing in the event docs from the Dataverse or from the Power Pages side, or vice versa, or from the SharePoint, it will automatically sync, right? So this is also the one way to integrate the data from external system, the virtual table. Okay. So I was about to show you one thing quickly. So if I go to the documents, let me add a new section, one column. If I go to the list, all event docs. I think something is wrong with the page right now. Okay, let's not waste the time. But this is just a way because I have already created the table. You can just simply created a list and add that particular Dataverse table view in that. So that let me try one more time if that works. Documents. Let me delete that first. Delete. Now, if I go to the list again, then hope it's there. No, so let me go to the data section and see whether we have the event docs table. Okay, so I think we don't have that table right now. I think I have accidentally deleted that. But what we can do it, we can click next and then finish. So once I hit finish, it will start creating a virtual table in the Dataverse. Now, once that table will be created, it will act like the other Dataverse table. And in the similar way, the way we create the list and everything, we can create a list in the Power Pages site and then display the data of that particular SharePoint list. So by doing that, you can directly display the data of SharePoint, SQL Server, and other table in the portal. So you can see like a new table got created now called event docs. Now let me again go back to the tables and refresh it. Now go to the page, go to the document, and then okay, let me add a new page. That would be better. Event docs, add, and then this page, I'm going to add a list like this, and it's better to create a new list. So new list will provide the table name called event docs, but that is a virtual table, remember, and then we'll select a view. Okay, there is no view yet. So let me create a view for this. Let me see whether there is any view. Okay, so new view I can create. Till event docs. Great. Awesome. So hit save and publish. And you can see like this title, link, and everything. It is not stored in the Dataverse physically. It is directly coming from the SharePoint. So you can imagine like the power of the virtual table. And it becomes more powerful when you embed this virtual table on the Power Pages side. It means you can display the data in the read-only format from different data sources. Okay. So again, I'm going back here and refresh this page because I have created a new view. Okay, so if I go to event docs and then click here, let me better it's delete it. Go here and then list, new list in the report, event docs, select view, active event docs, or all event maybe. And then so once I do this, I need to enable the permission as well because it's a new table. Uh, so I need to provide the event docs, okay? Because without enabling the permission, that will not work. So let's keep it global for now, or I can keep it contact level as well. But let's for the demonstration, I will provide all and then provide the role for authenticated user and save it. Okay, now if I hit preview, it will take me to the document page. Okay, so now you can see this title is coming from the Power Pages site. Now let me do one thing quickly. Design Studio, go here because here only title is given. Let me add a view and add a link as well. So go here and click a link and add a column called created and then save and publish. It's always a good practice that you can directly, do all kind of data modeling within the Design Studio itself. Okay, and once it is done, click on sync. Okay, then go to the portal, refresh it. Perfect. So you can see like, this information is directly coming from the SharePoint. You can see the link of the SharePoint URL. You can click here and it will take you directly to the SharePoint articles and everything documents as well. So this is also a way how you can integrate the SharePoint with the Power Pages site. So this is another way how you can integrate the external database using virtual table in the read-only format. Call API directly, I've already discussed about that. So sometimes you have to call the API directly. So in that case, you don't need to store the data in the Dataverse. So the first option that you have is the cloud flow, as I said. Now this cloud flow can be in the two form. The first is out of box that I have just a while shown you the cloud flow integration. Sometimes you always go with the HTTP trigger based endpoint Power Automate because this out of box Cloudflow integration currently has the limitations like it accept only specific parameters and everything. But HTTP trigger based endpoint or the Power Automate can handle complex JSONs and everything. So it's up to you. It's up to the requirement as well. So if you are using HTTP trigger point endpoint based Power Automate, I always recommend to enable the authentication like any user in the tenant or a specific user in the tenant. Don't keep that endpoint open for the anonymous user. All right. And the second option, if you are calling that API directly, if you don't want to use the cloud flow, you want to directly call that API using JavaScript, then don't do it directly. Otherwise, you will expose a lot of information on the browser console or the network trace. So to avoid that, you always have to use the OAuth 2.0 implicit grant flow. Okay. And secure your API using APIM. So if you are using Cloudflow, then you don't need to use the API, secure your API using APIM. But if you are using HTTP trigger based endpoint, then you may include the API based integration as well. Okay. Now, apart from this, there are some of the integration mechanism which is not directly related to the Power Pages, but supports in the Dataverse, and that is the background uh, jobs. For example, like Azure Synapse Links, Schedule Power Automate Flow, Logic Apps, SSIS, custom APIs, and polling, export to Excel, data flows. So these kind of integration is also supported in the Power Pages, because those integrations are directly done at the Dataverse level, not at the Power Pages level, right? Because sometimes you don't need the real-time integration. So all the above one, like Cloudflow, virtual tables, and everything, they always provide you the real-time data, API calling and everything. But sometimes if you have to do the non-real-time integration, and you are not looking for the immediate data on the portal, then of course you have to go with all these options that you already provided. Okay. These are called the database integration. Now what we have, the app integration. So for app integration, you have option to embed the Canvas app. Okay. So if you are embedding the Canvas app in the Power Pages site, you always have to remember Canvas app is for the internal users. It is not for the external users. Of course, you can share it as a guest to the external user, but if you are embedding the Canvas app to the Power Pages site, user needs to have the Azure AD credentials in order to log in, right? And they need to have the appropriate license as well. So if you are creating a Power Pages site for the external audience, you should not use the embed Canvas app option. If you are using Power Pages site for internal organization like employee self-service portal or any other portal that you are creating internally for your organization, and you already have built something in the Canvas app, like you have the PDF viewer feature, and you want to implement the same feature on the Power Pages side without writing any code and customization, then you can directly embed the Canvas app where the PDF viewer is there and directly embed it to a Power Pages site. And you can open the SharePoint documents in the PDF as well, right? If you have to design the fancy dashboard reports and everything, you can embed the Power BI reports as well. You can enable the Copilot for chatbot integration as well. I'll quickly show you that as well, where you can do that. You just need to turn on that setting and you can enable the Copilot, the chatbot integration. And you can customize that as well as per your business need. You can go to the Copilot Studio, and based on your business need, you can create your own topics, and you can add your own knowledge sources like the SharePoint and whatever data source that Copilot Studio supports. And also you can add the generative AI features. I mean, you can add the public website URL or the links as well, so that your Power Pages site can give the answers from the public facing websites as well. So these all the kind of capabilities that you have got, because in the Microsoft Ignite recently, Microsoft has announced a lot of new features as well. So those all the feature will support in the Power Pages as well. Okay. For document management, you have got the inbuilt SharePoint integration. So you just need to first enable the SharePoint at the Dataverse level. Then you have to enable the SharePoint at the Power Pages level. So I don't want to demonstrate each and everything, but I just wanted to show the capabilities of it. For each and everything, Microsoft has shared the documentation and step-by-step process to enable that. You can enable the DocuSign as well for digitally signing the contract or the documentation process. And currently it's in preview, but it's going to be very interesting feature going forward. You can also enable the payment gateway as well, because there are many websites which is designed for, which is basically used for designing the retail website, shopping website, where customer wants to integrate the payment gateway to directly pay from the website, right? So it also support the payment gateway as well. You can CDN and WAF. So CDN stand for the content delivery network, and the WAF is the Windows Azure firewall. So these are basically earlier you had the option to turn off and turn off, and nowadays it if you have the Power Pages license, it by default enable in your instance or in your environments, and it covers in your license cost as well. So you don't need to pay any additional cost enable to CDN and the WAF. So CDN is basically you to load your site content faster, and WAF provide you all the additional layer of security from the malicious attack on the on your website. You can enable the Omni channel for Dynamic 365 customer service for live chat agent capabilities as well. And I have demonstrated this many times. So you can find that on my YouTube channel as well. That, because this chat Copilot provide you the virtual chatbot capabilities, but sometimes your customer wants to directly talk to the live agent, so you can integrate your omni-channel. Of course, there is a separate licensing cost for that. So if your omni-channel is available in your Power Pages in your environment, you can transfer your chat to the live agents as well. You can have the screen share, you can have the video call, and you can have plenty of other features if you are enabling the omni-channel. Okay. And the last one is the embedded Power Pages site into the another website using an iframe. So this is the other way around. Sometimes some feature you have developed in your Power Pages site and you want to embed that in some external website. So you can also do that by embedding a power by using an iframe, but not the iframe. There are some additional settings also you have to enable at your end. Then only you can do it related to the course, right? So that is basically provide you the capability to integrate your Power Pages site to the external website. Okay. So the last topic that I want to discuss is the troubleshooting and the diagnostic, because being a developer, if you do a lot of developments, it's always a chance that you get a lot of error. So what are the different options being a developer you should aware to troubleshoot or diagnostic the error? Okay. So the first option that you have is enable disabling the custom error. Okay. So enabling and disabling the custom error means by default in the Power Pages Admin Center. So if I can go quickly so that you can directly check. So these all the setting you will get it from the Power Pages Admin Center. So if I go here, uh, setup, and then go down Admin Center. So if you can see, like, if you open a particular website on the admin center, you have got some specific site actions. And here there is an option called enable custom error. Okay. And if I select this, then I will get the option disable custom error. So what is the meaning of enable and disabling custom error? So if you choose enable custom error, okay, I mean, if the custom error is disabled, then you see this option. Okay. In Microsoft terminology, the message that you see on the screen is the custom error. Okay. But this doesn't give you the exact information when you are getting any error. Usually, when you get this error, so if anything, if something went wrong at the server side or anything goes wrong through your code, you don't really understand what is the exact error, and you see this error. This error is coming because you have not enabled, you have not disabled the custom error. So once you disable this custom error, you will see this option. So it's better to see the ASP.NET detail error message, also known as YSOD, yellow screen of death, for debugging purpose. The detailed error page helps you to get the full stack of server error. Okay. So this always comes when you disable the custom error. And here you can figure it out like what exactly the error is. So always remember on the production, you don't enable this setting unless any issue you want to troubleshoot. In the dev or in the test environment, you can keep it enabled. You can keep it disabled, but don't disable the custom error on the production, okay? Unless you are troubleshooting the error. So this is the one way. The second way is the customize the error message. So when you see this error message, it always comes in the default text like we are sorry, but something went wrong. Please try again. And if this persists, contact the website administrator. So if sometimes you show this message to your customer doesn't look good. So your organization or your customer wants, your client wants to customize this error message. So how you can do that? So in order to customize the error message, you need to create a site setting. Sorry, the site, the content snippet called portal generic error. If I go to the content snippet here and search this particular, okay, so I think I'm not created that here or what? Okay, so I think I need to go here and content snippet, search for that. So you can see you have to create a content snippet with the name portal generic error. If you have multiple languages enabled, then you have to enable for each languages. And here you have to provide the error message that you want to display. So for example, like this is a custom error, file a support ticket with the screenshot of the error by clicking this, and you want to redirect user to a particular page where they can access some information or upload some kind of screenshot. Okay, so that you can do it. So portal generic error, you can create a site setting like this. Then your information will be displayed like this. First, your content snippet content, error ID, date time, and the portal ID. All right. The second way is to get the detailed, error log is website error logs. Okay. So website error log is basically a feature where if I again go back to the portal management center, and if you enable this diagnostic logging, so if you click here, since I've already enabled it, so I need to disable it first so that I can show you. So if I click on enable diagnostic log, it is basically asking for the Azure blob storage connection string. So I've already shown you the blob storage here, right, in a while ago. And here you can see like it in the telemetry log, it always create in the telemetry log, it always create a site folder, and inside that it will create different subfolder and where you can find different errors happen on a particular date. So you can see like this is the CSV file that gives you the detailed error message that is being thrown out from the server side code. It is very useful sometimes because sometimes you don't get error message in the stack trace as well. You're not able to figure it out what exactly the issue is. So what exactly you can do, you can enable this diagnostic setting, and this CSV file will give you the detailed information that you can also share it with Microsoft as well, and they can help you out, solve the issues as well. Okay. And for this setting, you can, keep this log for 30 days by default, but you can set it for always as well. All right. Now, the next is display the server-side plugin error, server-side error, plugins or real-time workflow, because sometimes you may have some sort of, real-time or synchronous code working in the background, and that can also only be possible by plugin. That could be the low-code, no-code plugin or the Dataverse plugin or the real-time workflow. So sometimes the error message thrown from the server side thrown from the plugin and error is not in the user friendly way, right? They throw the error, some non-meaningful information to the customer. So what you can do, you can simply create a site setting called site enabled custom plugin error and set it to true. So once you set this value to true, it will always display the exact error that you are throwing from the plugin, right? So what error message you see in the model driven app or in the Canvas app or in whatever application you are using, it will display the same error message on the plugin as well. Okay, so always remember, like you enable this setting. If you don't enable this setting, or if you set this value to false, it will not show the exact error message. It will display, some invalid plugin execution kind of error. Okay, and the last one that is very useful that Microsoft has recently introduced is the server side error in the dev tool extension. So you need to enable this extension in your browser. And once you enable that, click on three dots, go to the extension, and you can see like I've already installed this Microsoft Power Pages extension. If you don't have it, you can install it in your browser. And once you click on the inspect, you see like Power Pages. There is a Power Pages tab in the console in the browser window. Okay, and here you will see the server side errors as well. So this is very, very useful because sometimes it's very difficult from the developer perspective. You see all the client errors and all the console level error, but you don't see the server side error unless you enable the website error log or custom error log, disable or enable the logs as well, right? So this is very useful. As you can see, like in one of the example, like I am getting the error on the sign in. I am getting the error on the sign in screen. So it is display the message as well. And you can also use this particular line of code in your liquid in order to get this error message and log this error message in the Power Pages. In the similar way you do it in the JavaScript, right? In the JavaScript you write the console.log or you put the alert. In the similar way, if you have to display the error information in the Power Pages extension, you can write this particular code, use the keyword log. All right. So that's it. I think I have taken a lot of time because I wanted to cover each and everything today. But from the developer perspective, I think I have tried to cover each and every topic. Maybe in the future, I can cover some more topics related to the developers like custom policies and everything. And I hope you really like the session and it is useful for you. Those who could not attend the sessions live, I have the recording with me and that I'm going to provide you as well. Okay. So thank you so much for listening me and thank you so much Festive Tech Calendar 2024 for having me. And thank you so much. Have a nice evening. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.